Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name's Jeff Haney. I'm going to be talking about creating dynamic parcels rather than 2D line work and automate some labels with our CTC Label Genie. Again, my name's Jeff Haney. I'm a senior civil technical specialist, and I have about 15 plus years between the industry side and also the reseller side. So decent background mixture of both. A lot of my experience has been with subdivision work and also some transportation projects. So some of the issues we're going to be talking about today is just parcels are often an overlooked and underutilized tool within Civil 3D. And we will show you what it takes to migrate 2D line work into parcels to help with that parcel automation to finish and do some Label Genie work as well. Label Genie, just so you guys know, is a CTC tool that we have that ATG offers, and it helps with some labeling and stuff. And we'll go over just a little bit of that. Also, just so you guys know a little bit of agenda today, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to use the chat and send me a question. Send me also through the Q&A or anything like that, and I will answer your questions as I get to them or as I can. And if there's a question that needs to be resolved after the fact, send me an email and I will be glad to help answer questions after the fact as well. Some learning objectives for today is how to use AutoCAD Boundary or bpoly, as people like to say, command to define an area for us to parcel. And from that, that's how we're going to create our parcel from our 2D line work. And I'll show you how typically you would label with the parcel labeling, but then if you guys don't want to use parcels, because some people are overwhelmed with parcels, I can show you how to use our Label Genie to help label just 2D line work. So with that, we are going to just look at our site. Right now we have this subdivision site. Maybe one of our our designers and stuff kind of laid out this area, and maybe they didn't use Civil 3D and use parcels. Maybe they just laid it out, and we have let's just see what's in here right now. We have a boundary area line. We have side lot lines. We have lots front. This over here is a right-of-way line which goes all the way through, but we will not necessarily be using that line. And then we have some back lots. So all those will be coming into play down the road. So let's move over to this one. We don't need some of the other stuff, so we just froze out those trees, we froze out those lines, everything like that. So now we're just looking at this particular area. And I know this needs to be on, that needs to be frozen, so I'm going to go ahead and freeze that. So all we have here is just 2D line work. Now our planner comes back and says, hey, this is the final one. Let's go ahead and start parcel. So typically you would just go ahead and come up here to parcels, create parcels from object, select them all, and it will create your parcels. Some people have issues with that, especially maybe a lot line has been moved. Maybe it's an odd shaped thing. Maybe the lines aren't touching, and it just gives them headaches. And a lot of people just X-nay the program and just keep using 2D items. It doesn't have to necessarily be that complicated. Again, if I come in here, use create parcels, I can say create parcel from object. Again, I can just come in here, do that. And depending on your lines and stuff, it should create it. It should be that easy. However, sometimes the parcels itself sometimes get jaggedy. Sometimes they might overlap. Sometimes it doesn't parcel exactly what you want it to parcel. This is a pretty straightforward area, so it should work. But if it's oblong or something, it might not work correctly. So let's just go back and let's just show you a easier method to go with. So what I usually do is I go into my layers, I create a layer called B-Poly or a construction layer, something like that, as long as it's that and it's set to current, because we're only going to use this temporarily. We're going to put it in and we're going to delete it. So the command is going to be boundary, or you can type in B-Poly and you get this boundary creation dialog box. We're going to keep islands detected on. We'll have our object type, select the polyline. And now all we're going to do is click in our lots, click in our common areas, things like that. And we'll also do the roads because some people like to parcel the road just to get some information off of it. So what you can do is come in here and now you can just start clicking, right? So here's a common area. And then you just select here and go each one. And what this is going to do is it's going to isolate it just for that area. And if you have some weird shapes in here, if the lines aren't closed, this can help take care of it. Obviously you see that, what happened there. And it's as easy as getting rid of that part. This here has already been done. So we'll just keep coming through here. So that, obviously that would have been an issue area. And we're going to go ahead and go through all this, and we're just going to get that region area that we want to parcel. Just get a little bit better. And we can even modify things after the fact if need to. Now this does, as you can see, take a little bit longer, but I've had people who use this command because they're not, they're not as comfortable with parcels, just creating them like we did just a minute ago, or freehanding. So they use something like this to help relax them a little bit, and also just to get that extra information to make them feel a little bit better about what they are doing. So now you have something like this. Let's go ahead and do the road as well. I forgot that one. So now we have something like this. So now when we go in to create our parcels, it's just going to be the same way, but now I have a little bit more controlled, right? So now I am going to select just the parcels going around. So we'll do this for all of them. And what you're going to see as we do this is that person who is not as comfortable with creating a parcel is now getting a little bit better feel of what it's doing and making sure it's getting that entire lot. And as somebody just mentioned, yes, this does help eliminate a little bit of the parcel headache as we go through here. And another reason, yep, good question. So If you have a modified area and you have to go back and redo it, you could easily remove an area, delete that parcel, and recreate it with bpoly as well, if that makes you feel more comfortable. So then we just keep coming through here. Oops, I exited out too quickly, my bad. We will only do a few of them, then that way you can at least see what's going on here. You guys get the point. So let's just do these here. And you're going to put it on a site. This one, we have a site for subdivisions. Some people I know have like a special site already created for their lots, and or called Parcels, one of the two. So something similar to that. And we are going to keep it on the CProp layer, the line, parcel name. So if we want to automatically label, which you guys are probably thinking, okay, Label Genie, right? What is it going to do different than this? Yeah, we'll leave that for later. So this, we're still going to go ahead and use our parcels because this is what parcels are set up for. So let's go ahead and use our parcel number. We can do named area and perimeter, square foot, acres, that's fine. Let's just go ahead and do that. Let's do automatic segments. And then let's erase those bpoly lines. So as you can see, wherever that bpoly was, for instance, bpoly here, it went ahead and made a parcel for us in this case. And then we automatically labeled these as well. And we can do the same thing going through here, because now we can have, we're getting our more familiar set, right? So let's go ahead and do a region here for our bpoly, and let me show you maybe how another common area would work. We'll select inside, it will grab this. We'll come back to our parcels and we will just grab that and we'll label it. So right now it's doing what it needs to do to label this stuff. Also to note on our parcel labeling, you have duplicate entries over here. You'd have to go back through and clean that part up as well. But this is just a quick way to label. Also, some people ask about this road here. Yes, you can go ahead and parcel that if you want. And if you want to do the right of way ones, you can do that as well. But this is done correctly through here. You can label that. And let's make sure I got that one to the front. Let's see. We'll select that. And let's see, I don't have that in here. So let's bpoly. I promise you it works better than how I'm treating it right now. So, but you can get that to come in here and we can parcel that. And it's just because I mislabeled that. So we can continue with that. That's how it's going to label, which I don't know why I brought that box in, but this is one way that we can use the bpoly and get it a little bit better for people who aren't comfortable with parcels. So that's one of the key items there. And we'll come back to this part here in just a minute. So Label Genie is a way that some people don't even want to deal with parcels, right? They're like 2D line work all the way. However, I do not have the dynamic ability that the parcels do to get my labels to come in correctly. With our CTC Sims project suite, we have what's called Label Genie. And we'll populate this up. Now we can say, hey, do I want a current drawing? Do I want additional drawings? How do I want to do this layout? Do I want to label the entire model space, or do I want to do it per layouts or layout views? Viewports, you can do all of that thinking ahead of time and do it. Obviously, you're probably going to do it in the file and then break out your sheets appropriately. So let's just go ahead and do the entire model space. So the way this would look is we have our line type. And if you have different label types that you want to do, you can save it and have it so it comes back every time. But what we want to do with the subdivision parcels is we want to make sure it's a set to line and curve, and then anchor upon objects. How do you want that stuff to anchor? So we're going to do polylines. And with this ellipse here, or the 3 dots, we're going to say what layer do we want to go off of. If you didn't know this one, what layer it is, you would just click on these dots and you would select it. We're going to do side lot lines. And of course, we can go through and give Label Genie is more in depth than just this particular area, but since we're concentrating on parcels and a subdivision, we're just going to concentrate on labeling lines quickly. So we're just going to hit OK here. And then let's go ahead and just hit Add Update Labels. You'll get a notice saying it's got 121. Success, and it populates in here. What you're going to see is they're cleaned up. There is no duplicates like there are with the parcels. So I don't have to go back in and delete out the ones that I don't need or anything like that. It's just quick labeling and it puts it in. Now I need to go back through here and do some labeling for the front lots. So that is the same process. We'll do our Label Genie. And here we are going to just switch some things around just a little bit. So we're going to keep that on polylines. We're going to keep this on segments. But when we're in this, we're going to take this guy out and we're going to specify the lot fronts. We're going to hit OK here. And under formatting, we can do a couple of different things under formatting. We can even do the square foots like we did with the other one, but let's just go ahead and just take a look at this. But formatting type, line style, bearing over distance, that's what this is. But we don't want that for the front part. We just probably want the distance. And curve styles, yes, you can go ahead and get your delta and all that stuff set up, or maybe even you want tags, you can do that as well, but let's just do distance just so you can see what's going on here. And let's just leave it like that. Let's not worry about flipping things, but if you wanted to flip, you can always say towards centroid. So maybe as we are labeling here, it flips this way, things like that. Let's just leave it like this just so you can see what's happening. It'll tell you that we have 142. And now it labels. Obviously, I've done plats before. I do not like to label things on the inside. If I'm doing this with parcels, like we did back here on this other one, and this was labeled out here, I would have to come in here and flip those, right? Well, we could have done that automatically from the get-go, but let's just go ahead and show you what it looks like after the fact with Label Genie. So I can come in here, click on Label Genie. Let's go ahead back to our formatting area, and where it says flip states, you could try to do different ones of these toward or away. Let's just go ahead and flip them all just to see what it does. Maybe it'll take care of everything for us. And all we have to do is just rerun it. So we'll come in here, update that, and now it flips it. Let's see if it does it. Oh no, there we go. This didn't come through just because of the right-of-way layer. If I had another line there, it would have labeled it. But you can see how it works coming through here. Now I don't really have a backlots layer here, but I do have it here. And it's going to be the same process for both of those. So let's just go ahead and do one more just so you can see it. Let's take that out. We're going to select it on the screen. Put that in. And let's just hit update labels. It put the distance in because that's what I told it to do. But we can come right back in and change that if we want to, because that's still our last command is with the lot backs. So all we have to do is come back in here and let's do bearing and distance. And do I have a bearing and distance on this? Let's just leave it at that, hit update. And beautiful. Gotta love it when it doesn't do what I tell it to do, right? So let's just do bearing and distance. And let's go back over here. Let's make sure it's still set on that. Awesome. All right. So obviously I did something wrong on that particular part, but that's probably because I didn't have the line set up correctly. But that is as easy as it gets with these labels, because now they're not parcels. It's still like you would have it without it. So now you still have that dynamic segment. So if I click on here, you can still see it's using that general label style. And if I move anything, it will update that per that line. If I change this back, notice all that information is changing with it. So now I can take the parceling out if I'm still not comfortable with parcels. So that is the beauty of Label Genie and why it was put in to help with stuff like that. If you come back over and do the parcels with the B-poly and get these labeled in, it's as easy as making that B-poly like we talked about, and then coming in and creating our parcels with our parcel objects, and just making sure these are put in correctly. We'll erase, and now that gets labeled in. So these labels are the exact same as the other one. So if I was to switch this, now you guys know parcels, so if I come in here and do something weird, sometimes it might create another parcel where I don't want it. But see that overlapping labels, it takes care of all that. So that is our Label Genie and creating parcels with a B-poly. We covered about how to use B-polys to create our parcels to give people that little bit of extra comfort. We talked about how to use Label Genie if you don't want to use parcels to help create your labels. And some additional info. Kyle Groves did a really good webinar about automating Civil 3D projects using Label Genie, and kind of went in a little bit more in depth. We also have webinars about parcels. And we can also help out with training on Parcels if you guys want to learn how to do Parcels. And you can reach us by our website. You can contact us on LinkedIn or check out our YouTube channel, which is ATG USA, and you get notices for all the different webinars that have been uploaded. And thank you for your time. And if you got anything, my email is jhaney@atgusa.com. Feel free to get a hold of me. Thank you again for your time and appreciate all that you did.